Hello and welcome to the May subscription tasting with friends. Not so much, it's Corona time, so I'm here all by myself, but I'm here to taste coffees with you. And this month we have a very exciting setup. You can see there's a lot of cups in front of me because we are going to send out a lot of different coffees because we are having a spring cleaning. And spring cleaning means a lot of delicious coffees getting out to you guys. We're going to start with the two first coffees that the 1 bag and 2 bag subscribers are going to get. And then afterwards we're going to taste a lot of different coffees, 5 different coffees actually that we're sending out to different people around the world, depending on how much we have of them. And these coffees are some special stuff. Some of them were bought for special clients, some of them were bought for competitions and so on. So we have something to look forward to. But let's get started. The first coffee we're going to send out is actually a coffee that we sent out, I think, in November, or it's from the same farm as we sent out in November, from Nacimiento in Honduras. This is one of my favorite coffees because it's one of the first farmers we started to work with, Hobnil. Back in 2009, we started buying his coffee in 2008 in the Cup of Excellence, and then visited in 2009 and started buying direct from him. And ever since, we've been working quite closely to improve the farms. I say farms because it's his and his father's farms, and now he's actually bought a piece of land a little bit away from the old farms. But they're not producing yet, so it's only at the moment the Hobnil's farm, which is called Nacimiento, and his father's farm, which is on top of the mountain, called Cielito Lindo. This Pacas variety that we're sending out to everyone is harvested in April, I think. Yes, April. You get a little confused sometimes because at this farm it's kind of situated on a steep hill. So the beginning of the year, in like January, February, March, they're normally picking mostly at the lower part of the farm, and then as the seasons progress, they move upwards the hill because it's cooler there, and so the coffee ripens more slowly. So this coffee is from the higher part of the farm, and therefore it also has a lot more fruitiness to it, more intensity than the earlier pickings. And this coffee we haven't sold yet, so the subscribers are the first ones to get it this year. But it will come for everyone else as soon as we have sold out the first pickings. This is Pacas variety. Pacas is a mutation of a Bourbon, very similar to Caturra, where you have a smaller tree that produces well, that was selected on a farm in El Salvador by the Pacas family. Hello, Pacas family. This variety is quite popular to grow in the Santa Barbara region in the north of Honduras, where a lot of smallholder farmers are planting Pacas, they're planting Catimores. Some of them have Bourbon, like Hobnil has a fantastic Bourbon. And now you also see a lot of people planting geisha, although we're not sure that they actually have geisha seeds, because there's a lot of hustle in the coffee industry. But Hobnil has a little bit of geisha, and in 2 years' time we'll get to taste it, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's taste the coffee. I love this coffee because it's always very, very clean. And that's because Hobnil takes very special care of processing the coffee. It's a washed coffee. And when he dries it on raised beds under shade, and he actually has people picking out all the defects at the drying tables. And of course, the defects are also picked afterwards at the dry mill. When we mill the coffee for export, we have color sorters and people picking out defects. And at the moment, we have started to use another color sorter in our own roastery, which picks out all the Quakers. Quakers are like the lighter beans that taste like peanuts in a roasted coffee. And you can't see them until the coffee is roasted. So that's why we bought another color sorter to put in our roastery to remove those. Now this coffee, as expected, I don't like to use the word juicy, but this is very, very juicy. It has a lot of fruit flavor, reminiscent of like cherries, some say blackberries. Sometimes you can taste blackcurrants in it. It really depends on what coffee you have next to it. But stone fruit is also a word that's very often used when I cup these coffees in Honduras. People say mango, peach, all these kind of things. Quite a complex coffee, quite intense and very sweet, not too high acidity, which I think a lot of you will like. Now there is a little herbal sting to it, This is quite normal for these coffees. I think it's partly because it's grown where it is, and also because it's dried very slowly, and the way it's processed, you get this kind of slightly green freshness to it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's actually delicious. You can rest the coffee and it kind of goes away a little bit, but this was harvested last year, so it has been rested already. So I hope you enjoy this. It's, as I said, one of my favorite coffees, and we will have some later harvests a little bit later in the year that is also fantastic from this producer. All right, so to coffee number 2 that we're going to send out to all our 2-bag subscribers, and of course the 3-bag subscribers as well. This coffee is actually quite similar to the one from Nacimiento, but it's grown in Mexico. And it's a mix of coffees from 2 producers. We're not going to actually mix them together when we roast, but we roast them separately, and we will send out different coffees to different people. But they're very, very similar in flavor because their coffees are grown in the same area, Tenajapa in Chiapas in Mexico. And the varieties are the same. It's Bourbon and Caturra. And the flavor profile is very, very similar. It's, yeah, let's taste it. I love these coffees as well. A little bit more body than the Nacimiento. Has kind of this kind of, you know, when you eat dark chocolate, and if you've ever tasted cocoa nibs that is roasted, it has this kind of slightly cooling, chocolatey flavor, but there is definitely some kind of fermented fruit in there, like red berries, again, a little bit like cherries and so on. Not unlike the Nacimiento, but a little bit more powerful, I think, in the body, and also you can get this kind of orange zesty zing to it, which I really, really like. Now, Bourbon and Caturra are kind of in family with the Pacas that we had in the first cup. So Bourbon is kind of the mother tree. Caturra and Pacas are different mutations, happen in different places. Caturra, I think, was in Brazil, and Pacas was discovered in El Salvador. But genetically, those trees are very, very similar. They are short mutations of the Bourbon tree, and they yield quite well. And producers like to grow them because you don't have to climb up to pick the coffee. It's quite easy to pick the coffee. So, second coffee from our friends in Mexico, Jesus Salazar. Big shout out to him. He's a fantastic guy who has a roastery and a coffee shop in San Cristobal de las Casas in Mexico. And he's sourcing coffee from smallholder producers around his town in Chiapas. And he was the one who actually sourced coffee for pop-up that Noma had in restaurant Noma, had the pop-up in Mexico, in Tulum. And I kind of helped them with the coffee program, and this was by far the best coffees that I found in Mexico. And they're really like fruity, juicy, sweet, rich, just what you want in a really nice breakfast coffee. All right, so that's the 2 coffees we're sending out to all the 1-bag subscribers, and then 2 and 3-bag subscribers will also get the second one. And then we have a bunch of coffees going out to the 3-bag subscribers. And the reason why we're doing this is we normally buy a lot of different small lots of coffee. And some of them are for instance, restaurant Noma. It might be for a specific coffee shop. It might be for a competition and so on. And once we kind of have used those coffees for its purpose, we normally have something left over. Like it might be 50 kilos, it might be 15 kilos, it might be 100 kilos, and so on. And some of them we have sent out to subscribers, and we have a little bit left. And yeah, we could sell those coffees in our store. I've been kind of saving it because I wanted to sell them during our new website launch that we just had. But due to the Corona crisis, I thought, it's nice to send these out to our subscribers. So we're going to start by kind of staying in Honduras. One of the coffees we're sending out is an Ethiopian variety, but it's grown in Honduras by our good friends Marisabel and Moises, the Caballero family. And they have gotten some seeds that's called Ethiopian landrace that they planted just a few trees of maybe 8 years ago or something. And now they have a small amount in production. And this is actually just 15 kilos left. We have been using it for our subscription last year, but we had 15 kilos left, and we thought, this coffee is too good to just let it get old in our storage. So we decided now it's the time to send out the rest. Oh man, and as you can expect from an Ethiopian variety, this is very floral, quite citric. So it's kind of this kind of lemon flavor with a little bit of jasmine. It's also quite sweet and big-bodied. Unlike Ethiopian coffees, this doesn't have that much acidity. So if you really enjoy those kind of Ethiopian coffee flavors, but don't enjoy the acidity too much, this is a fantastic coffee for you. Still has this kind of slight herbalness, like green bell pepper, that the Caballero coffees always have, but I really enjoy that. Super nice coffee, Ethiopian variety from the Caballero family. We also have 45 kilos of Batian from the same family, from the Caballeros in Honduras. Batian is a Kenyan hybrid variety that was released, I think, in 2008-ish, maybe a little bit later. And it's a further development of the Ruiro 11 that they have. And I've tasted it isolated a couple of times in Kenya with various results. Sometimes it tastes fantastic, sometimes not so much. But I think it really depends on where it's grown and how it's processed and so on. And this is quite rare to find outside of Kenya, but the Caballeros have a couple of trees in production, and they will get more because this coffee is actually tasting really good. It's kind of different to the SL28 coffees. It has a little bit more kind of intensity in terms of body. I also think it has a little bit lower acidity, and the fruit kind of floral profile is a little bit more towards this kind of yellow fruit and jasmine compared to an SL28, which would be more like, honey and red fruit, black currants, these kind of things. Oh man, very perfumey. Oh wow. Oh, it tastes like ooh, it's really nice. It tastes like geranium and like lemon herbs. It's quite herbal actually, but it has this kind of perfumey, floral, quite citric also flavor that I really enjoy. So, Batian variety. Look forward to the ones who gets that can have something to look forward to for sure. Now another coffee that we're sending out, we have I think 40 kilos of this. So we'll send this out to random people that subscribe to 3 bags. But this is actually a prize-winning coffee, but we didn't buy it in the auction. This is a Cup of Excellence lot, but Gilberto Barahona in El Salvador, who produced this coffee, he sent the majority of this coffee to the Cup of Excellence competition. And he saved 1 bag for us, a whole bag of coffee, so 69 kilos. We already tested it a couple of times and it tastes fantastic. So now we only have 40 kilos left or something. Now this is a Bourbon variety, old Bourbon. He calls it Bourbon Elite. So it's kind of the similar as the Bourbon from Nacimiento, very old Bourbon trees. It's grown on the top of his volcano where it's kind of a flat area. So it's the highest altitude on his farm, Los Pirineos in El Salvador. And this coffee has been washed and fermented for quite a while, so it's quite fruity. And that's why he actually won 2nd place in the Cup of Excellence last year with this coffee. Because it's very, very fragrant, and this old Bourbon variety also has a lot of this kind of fruit flavor. So I just really love this. But when you compare it to this one, for instance, the Pacas, it's very fruity, but it has much less acidity. And it's kind of more like a milk chocolate with fruits. And the The Pacas would be more like a darker chocolate with this kind of fermented fruit flavor. But the Los Pirineos Bourbon, for those of you who like lower acidity coffees, you know, this is just fantastic. It tastes like milk chocolate with fresh fruit inside. It's really, really good actually. Another coffee we're sending out, we only have 15 kilos left, and this has actually been a coffee that's been served at restaurant Noma for a while, but then they shut down because of the corona thing. So we have 15 kilos left of this coffee. And this is also from Mexico. It's a Maragogipe variety, which means it's one of the mother or parents for Pacamara, so you can expect very, very large beans. This is also fermented in a barrel with a lid on, so it has quite a long fermentation time, which people call anaerobic. Fermentation is anaerobic, so you know. But let's call it anaerobic because that's the popular term these days. So it's quite funky, this coffee, and because it's a Maragogipe also, it has a lot of fruit flavor. Wow, and it's very intense, extremely intense. You expect stone fruit, strawberries, very lingering finish. Also has this kind of cacao finish, but this is very, very intense fruit flavors, almost like a natural, if you know what I mean. Or it kind of has this slightly pulpy flavor, or quite pulpy actually. So you can expect it to be like a natural or like a honey processed coffee, but it is actually a washed coffee. So that's from a producer called Ana Santis in Mexico, in Chiapas, Maragogipe variety, and 15 kilos, so just a few of you will get this coffee. We have another one, and that is from Nacimiento, so from farm number 1 here, but it's the SL28 variety. It's a Kenyan variety that we actually planted together with Hobnil many, many years ago, and this is, I think, 3rd or 4th harvest. But because it's planted on the top of his farm, there's not a lot of this coffee. And we have sent it out before for our subscribers, but this is what we have left. It's not a lot, but it's a delicious coffee. Very, very floral, very blackcurranty-like, and so on. Wow. I just love Kenyan varieties. They're so intense. It has this kind of almost plum, like marzipan, and this kind of almond kernel flavor with black currants. Ooh. Delicious coffee. So last coffee, SL28 from Nacimiento, Kenyan variety, grown in Honduras. A little bit more power than the Kenyan SLs that's grown in Kenya. Power meaning it's more like full-bodied and a little bit less acidity again. The Kenyan coffees, you know, they have this fantastic acidity that is hard to replicate other places in the world. Cool. I think that's it. We might, if this is not enough, depending on how many people subscribe, we have one more coffee that we could send out if we run out of coffees, and that is SL28 variety from Finca Tamana, because we do have some of that left. And this is a SL28 variety that we sent out last month, but I planted this with Elias. I think it tastes fantastic, and it's too good to kind of just let it rest in our storage. So I really enjoy these coffees when they're really fresh. This is from last year's main harvest. Much more subtle than the Nacimiento, but has a lot of fruit flavor, a little bit floral, but not as much as the Nacimiento. I don't know why, it's just grown in different places. You know, the altitude is not the same. The trees are a little bit, no, they're actually planted at the same time, so they should be the same age. But I know that Elias has more production, which means, and the trees are bigger, which means they're grown in hotter climate. Because when the trees have a little bit more heat, they grow faster. In cooler climate, they grow slower, and normally the cherries develop more flavors as well. So last coffee we might send out, if we run out of these ones, is the SL28 from Finca Tamana. I really hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. And if you want to subscribe, you can go to our website. It's a recurring subscription, so that means you can stop it or pause it whenever you like. you get a discount because a lot of these coffees are much more expensive than what you pay for the subscription. And we do ship worldwide. We ship to the US, we ship a lot. The only places we don't ship is China and Russia, and that's because of customs, unfortunately. We would love to ship there, but unfortunately that's not possible at the moment. But we do ship worldwide, and it's a recurring subscription. We send out coffee every first Wednesday of the month. So that means if you subscribe in the middle of the month, you won't get any coffee until the first Wednesday of the month. That's when we send it out, and it might take 2 days. If you're in Norway, before you get the coffee, it might take 2 weeks, especially now during the Corona crisis. We have experienced a little bit of delays, especially in the States and in the UK and also in Spain. So I'm just guessing, those are countries that have been hit hard with the Corona virus, and I think that's affecting the mail service. That's a lot of information. If you want to learn how I brewed these coffees, I brew them all the same with the AeroPress. 14 grams of coffee, 200 grams of water. I think that's a great way to brew. It really brings out the fruit and the flavors in the coffee. If you want to learn how to do that, check out our videos in YouTube. We have a brewing guide for AeroPress. And we will be doing some Q&As online this month, so if you have any questions, you can tune into those. And if you're too late for that, you can watch them on our Instagram stories, where we will be posting them. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.